Welcome to The Hook. MLR News and Notes. What do we got for this week? Last week was preseason week 6, week 7? I forget. Not really. So, this last week, big week for MLR preseason. We're going to talk Houston Sabercats. We're going to talk Rugby United New York. We're going to talk San Diego Legion. We're going to talk all the MLR players that played during the ARC. So let's just get into it right away. So Houston Sabercats defeat NYAC 39-38. What were we looking at? You wanted to see progress from the Houston Sabercats. At the end of the day, NYAC is still a club. Although a lot of their players are going to be, joining up with Rugby United New York. People are saying, hey, they were missing players. You can't count Chris Mattina anymore. You can't count him as part of NYAC. It's not like he was gone for a week. He's been gone pretty much, all year because he's been with the Sevens camp. So you look at so who do you count that's gone? Nate Brakely, he's in the Eagles camp, so that's important. But you look at that roster, and it's full of dudes that are good, You have a bunch of people that played age grades overseas. You have a bunch of people that played age grades in this country. You have a few Eagles on that roster. So, as a club, NYAC is one of those clubs because they're in a big city. They're in New York. They attract those kind of, foreign expats and U.S. players because they just, they've been around for so long. And they're in a major city and they're a top club. So they're going to attract top players, which is great. So, but then I go, in the back of my head, they're still a club. They're still only practicing 2 days a week. Yes, they have good coaches. They've had good coaches for a long time. However, what does it say about the Cats that they only won by a point? Well, let's get into it. You're looking to roll. I wanted to see them beat NYAC by 50 because they had shown that they improved. The difference here is over this period of time, Cats have suffered injuries. Backline's been pretty durable, which is great. They rolled into the half 33-17. NYAC played a smothering defense. Usually, I would say if they had noticed it, the Cats could have taken advantage of it. You saw them usually commit 3 guys to tackle a guy against the Sabercats, which, the NYAC paid for it at the beginning. The difference was, I think NYAC raised their level in the second half, and the Cats started committing, errors. And everyone knows in rugby, when you commit errors, it's a bad deal. And so, they used excellent ball movement that was similar to how Uruguay played, throwing out blockers in the back line so that they could achieve, gains past the gain line. And they just started holding on to the ball. Because what the Cats did in the first half was fully capitalize on NYAC's, problems. And they weren't able to do that because NYAC limited them. And then what ended up occurring was a set of circumstances that just allowed them the ball. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Sam Windsor, icing on the cake, 54-meter kick. Here's the thing. They have 2 other guys that can nail 50-meter kicks on that team. They've got boots everywhere. Harry Bennett has to be the man of the match for NYAC. I think it was very important for the Sabercats to face a very tough opponent again, but rather than losing, they showed that they were able to hold on. Their mettle was tested, and we go into another match next week. Rugby United New York launched this week. You'd sort of seen the Rugby Club New York placeholder stuff on Twitter, although it was inactive, and you saw the website when they were soft launched and then announced in Rugby Today that they were coming. And they rebranded 2 weeks ago. Nothing on Facebook was being posted, and nothing on Twitter was being posted, but the handles existed, and the old Rugby Club New York website had changed URLs and then had come down. And then, I think it was Wednesday, you get the launch from, the league, press releases out, and we've got Rugby United New York as an associate member. So that was big. They're going to play an exhibition season. I think it's a home and away against Ontario, home and away against Boston Mystics, which is like a conglomeration of the Boston and Mystics sides. They've got a full staff. They've got Mike Tolkien, Bruce McLean, Villy, and two other dudes whose name I forget. And, people have said that New York was always going to be able to field a strong side. And I felt that was true. The issue is, some of these guys, I think it's going to test their commitment because, we've got Eagle players, but they're, in the finance industry, and they work, 60, 70 hours a week in, high-profile gigs. So it's really going to test, I guess, the how committed they are to playing professional rugby and, doing all the other things. Not that, other teams aren't having to deal with the same issues. Other teams are having to deal with guys in finance and all that. Massive realtors and construction company owners. It's just, I think the percentage is more so with a team that's situated in New York. That being said, and I guess the other thing that came up with that is you had possibly four guys come over from, Old Blue to San Diego. People are counting Ryan Matias. Yeah, he played for Old Blue, but he's been in Sevens, a resident Sevens player for a little while. So it's really just coming out of, Sevens camp to play for the San Diego Legion. But you had Cam Dolan, who came over from Cardiff, so I figured there was a reason why he was playing for Old Blue. He was going to be on this Rugby United team. And then you have Nate Augsburger, who was a Play Rugby director of performance for Mark Griffin in New York. So I figured, wow, that makes no sense. But Play Rugby is really pushing their California expansion, so he probably just really transferred to this side of the country for his day job. And then you had Tony Purpura, who had moved down from Boston to play with Old Blue. So, a lot of big moves there. Yet, they're still going to have a pretty strong team, and then we'll see what they field in 2019. Going on, San Diego Legion announced their coaching staff. Man, there is some concern, not really from me, because I look at the technical aspects of these guys. So you've got, a bunch of sevens, not really sevens-oriented guys, because I don't understand that criticism to an extent, but you have a loose forward, a center, and a wing as your if you're going by 15 guys, as your coaches, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. But you're wondering, people are going to wonder, hey, why don't you have a true forward in your pack? It doesn't really matter to me personally. Rob Hoadley, his pedigree is great. He, played professionally for London Irish and London Wasps. Then he coached Wasps, was an assistant with the Wasps. Then he was appointed the Wasps defense coach, and he was also the Welsh under-20s defense coach for a while. He also coached the, I think, Ryko Black Rams, the Ryko Rams is who, I'm pretty sure, who he coached. Whatever the team is that Ryko sponsors. Then you have Chris Cracknell, who, yes, he's a very accomplished sevens coach. He played 15s a bunch, though, so he's a 7, and then played as a loose forward in sevens as well. But while he was a sevens coach, he became I think the director of rugby for one of his old amateur club that he grew up playing with. So he coached age grades in England, and then he moved on, and during that same period, while he was on the sevens team, he coached them, and then he was a player coach on the men's sevens, and then was also a player on the men's sevens in England, and then coaching the women's sevens, especially, and also during the World Cup in Moscow. So I mean, the guy knows what he's doing. And then he came in under Ben Ryan in Fiji and became the director of women's rugby in Fiji as well. And now he's coming to the United States to coach the backs. Well, not the backs, to coach the forwards in San Diego. I think they're just going to play a really wide open style of offense, and they're going to hit. You know, I mean, talking about a bunch of two northern hemisphere guys that also, mix in some sevens experience. I think it's, as far as technical reputations, these guys have great technical reputations. Right now, Zack Test has transitioned into being a coach at the high school level with his SoCal Griffins, and so, I mean, there's plenty of 15s coaching experience going on right now. It's not just, hey, there's a bunch of sevens guys coaching 15s. It's not purely how do you put it? Purely, hey, it's, they're sevens specialists. So Zack Test was a sevens player. Yes, long-time sevens player. But he also played 15s. And he coaches 15s. Every one of these guys played 15s. So, at a high level. So, no really issues with me for there. I think their technical reputations are great, So, as far as a well-rounded staff, it's there. Going into the Chile game, you again saw all these San Diego players shine. We got to see Paul Asike for the Utah Warriors. Oh, man. When he gets the ball, he can run. And he can hit on defense. There is now a logjam in the centers for us. Man of the match for me is definitely Dylan Owdsley. He's been the man of the series so far. Sort of a just brand new identified player. And because I'd never seen him play. I knew he was College Player of the Year, College All-American, but he never made his step. And he talked about on the grind last week how he just felt all those times he was called in camp that he just wasn't ready. And I think it wasn't that he wasn't ready to play rugby as much as he wanted to focus on the non-rugby things in his life and get those squared away so that he could fully focus on rugby. And now that he's fully focusing on rugby, I mean, you see this guy playing test-level rugby and just crushing it 3 matches into his career. So, that's it for this episode of The Hook. I'll catch you later.